Welcome, my friends. I'm Demetria, your host, and I'm so happy to be with you today to share a wonderful and fabulous guest. But first off, I just want to share with you that I'm happy that you're listening to episode number 23. I'm here to help you to turn your profitable passion into a plan of action. I'm also your podcast coach, and I'll be sharing more about that later. But for now, I definitely want to hop straight into this interview because it is something else. You're going to enjoy your time today. So our guest today is Dr. Amber Joy Daniel. She is passionate about people seizing their destiny rather than just accepting fate. So that's why she is the Destiny Strategist. She wants to make sure that you are able to ensure that your destiny is going to be what it needs to be instead of sitting back and waiting on just anything to happen, right? So how does Dr. Amber Joy help you? How can she help you? Well, she has helped a lot of people and they have achieved the results that they were looking for. Now, she was a successful career woman who went from single to soulmate in just 6 months. So she has some steps available that she can share with you that can help you to find what you need in your life. Dr. Amber is a Destiny Strategist. She is an inner healing practitioner. She's a mentoring and diversity expert, an entrepreneur, an executive coach, a 100X certified coach. She has a master's in leadership development, a doctor of education, leadership in organizations, and she is also an international motivational speaker and the author of Destiny Survivor. So be sure to pick up her book as well. Now, I want to just ensure that I make a plug for an upcoming event that she has. So at the time of this recording, this event is right around the corner. So it is going to be held on November 25th through the 27th. And this is a challenge. It's a challenge event. So if you want to join this challenge with Dr. Amber Joy, then I highly recommend that you visit her website at destinystrategists.com. Don't worry about the spelling. I do have all of that available in the show notes wherever you are listening to this podcast. The show notes are available for you, and so will the links be available to you. Okay. And I look forward to hearing from you about how you enjoyed this show once you've listened. And I am going to come back at the very end just with a few last words and some announcements that I have about what's going on at our show at Her Business Elevated. So I'll be back at the end, but for now, I just want you to get a cup of tea, coffee, your favorite drink, whatever you like, and just sit back, relax, and listen to our conversation. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Her Business Elevated podcast. Today, I have with me a very special guest. Her name is Dr. Amber Joy Daniel. She is a prophetic teacher, a worshiper, an author, a wife, and a mother. And she brings a lightness to the ardor of self-work. Amber's passion is to train others to overcome challenges and fulfill their destiny. She's dedicated to bringing an unveiling of heaven and the heart of the Father to those with whom she has the honor of sharing. So I'm honored to have you on the show, Amber. Thank you so much for being here today.
Demetria, it's my honor to be here. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Well, I know you have a story to share. First of all, I noticed that on your website, you talk about destiny a lot, and you are the Destiny Strategist. I want to know what that means, and I want to know the series of events that happened in your life that brought you to the point where you're doing this destiny strategy work.
Such great questions. So there I was, ripe 36, sitting in the doctor's office, gray walls, the slow whirring of the fan overhead. And she comes into the room, squares her papers, reads them for a second, then puts them aside, looks me square in the face and says, Amber, this is a situation. If you want to have children, you need to start having sex. Just like that.
Just like that.
And I was gobsmacked because, I was a good Christian girl. At that point, I had little seasons of being a naughty Christian girl, but I was really being a good girl at this point. And there was no one with whom I could have sex. So I said, well, I'm not married. And she kind of looked at me oddly and said, who is talking about marriage? We are talking about biology. And at that point, everything kind of slowed down for me because I really wanted to be a wife and a mother. I was a success at a lot of other things already. I was a journalist. I'd been in some big rooms. I've been in the same room with Barack Obama. I've been in the same room with lots of all the leaders of the Southern Caribbean because of that job as a journalist. And here I was wondering if maybe I had misprioritized what I was supposed to have and do in life and destiny. And so it wasn't a case where I didn't have the education, where I didn't have the accolades. I had all those things, and this was the piece that was missing. Fast forward uh, to later that year, in 6 months from talking to this dude on the internet, don't judge me. 90 days after talking, he came to the island. I lived on the island of Trinidad and Tobago at the time, the island of Trinidad specifically. He got down on one knee. He asked me to marry him. And 30 days later, we were married. So I said that wrong. He visited, he returned to the States. He came 30 days later, got down on one knee with a ring. I said yes. And 30 days after that, so it's 6 months, 30 days after that, we were married on the beach. His family came and we had an intimate wedding union on the beach in Trinidad and Tobago. And I am testament to the fact that regardless of where you are at one point in time, God is very well able to pluck you from that point and quickly accelerate everything to get you from there to exactly where he always ordained and desired and destined that you would be. And that brings us to the whole thing about destiny. Mm-hmm. So without saying too much about the past, but guys, imagine it. I came from a very humble background on the islands. So just by way of a joke, to give you an idea, when my husband Dane came to the islands for the very first visit, I wanted to test him. You know, you have to test these fellas. In my mind's eye, this visit was a big test, you know. Yes. We had a humble home, and although we had bathroom facilities, I was testing him. And so I told him as soon as he landed, now we're going home, but I need to let you know we have an outhouse. And the dude did not look fazed. This white dude was taking it all in stride. I was like, oh, the next test was to see if he could eat spicy food. He passed that too. This dude might be winning the game, okay?
That's right.
I grew up with an outhouse. And so if you could, from there, extrapolate what village life would have been like, we walked miles to school each day. And Demetria, I didn't even realize that we were poor. We were really poor. And so I think that I could really speak to the whole idea of you having a destiny, which is a path, a goal, a reality that you were born to fulfill, to be on. And you may find yourself born into circumstances that look the exact opposite of Dr. Amber or of Dr. Amber Joy, which wasn't part of my name originally, but I overcame so many obstacles using joy as a tool, as a gift, as a source of strength, as just a way to reframe the fate, the script that life was giving me. according to the script, the fate, Fate, that life was handing me, I was supposed to have been pregnant at 16, have a child, each for a different daddy, remained single, frustrated, very poor, down and out, and struggling for the rest of my life. And so, to answer your last question, a destiny strategist is someone who has a gifting to see, help you see. Because you sometimes, like one of my clients, she's in the UK, she says, but you just put this out of me. Just it was always within you. And so I get to walk on that very sacred journey with you, asking those tough questions sometimes, drilling down to the why sometimes, but helping you to read your own scroll of destiny. And then we find the strategy. We partner with God to find, articulate, write down, work that strategy to get you from where you are, village with an outhouse, or wherever that is, to where you are or where you are meant to be. You may be a struggling business owner now, or an early stage entrepreneur now, but your destiny is to be a multi-billionaire business tycoon. And so what will it take to get you from here to there? And that is specifically what a destiny strategist does.
That is beautiful. That's beautiful. And it's, so many people are looking for, that next thing, like, what am I supposed to be doing? There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of trying to figure out your destiny, not being certain where God has you to go. And in entrepreneurship, all of us have experienced that confusion where we're trying to figure out what are our goals? What do we want to do? Where are we supposed to be? And then looking at where we've come from, like your story, where you came from to where you are now, that you had to use the tool of joy to get you where you are today. And I feel like there's just something in what we're talking about right now that's going to help so many people unleash where they're going, to know that joy, first of all, is a tool. And I would love for you to talk more about that in a little bit, but how God has a specific destiny for each and every one of us. And we don't ever have to doubt that God has a plan for us, and he loves us. He cares for us so deeply, and he hasn't forgotten us. And I think so many of us, sometimes we forget that God cares. He loves us, and he has a plan. And his plan will unfold, but we have to wait and listen and follow him. And he's using people like you to help guide us in finding that destiny. So you're a strategist. And that's very important, that there are people like you in the kingdom that get us where we need to be. So I wanted to know about this idea of fate, and you can talk about joy as well, but fate, the idea of just accepting, que sera, sera, just whatever it is. Address that for a moment, and how we can overcome that mindset, because I do believe it is toxic. So help us.
If only podcasts had 3D visuals so that you could see the expression on my face as she said, fate, just accepting everything. Hey, Sarah, Sarah. Oh, the emotion is boiling up. You just might get passionate in Trinidadian here, Demetria. First of all,
go ahead.
Demetria, the work that you are doing with this podcast for women in business, it's one of the biggest ways to flip the script on fate, Fate, and seize your own destiny, because it's one of the best, the fastest, most effective, most lucrative ways to flip that script. Fate says, whatever is ancestral, generational, whatever is in your village, what you grew up with, the mindsets of everybody around you, all your family members, nobody's ever made a white dude. So who are you? Nobody ever became a doctor. So who are you? Nobody ever migrated to the United States. Who are you? The boys in my village said, you feel you're so hoity-toity. Nobody escapes our, and sexual is implied, our wiles. Do you think you are better than us? You'll give it up to somebody else. So why not us, who you know?
Mm.
That is the story of fate. It will be for you as it has been for others.
Yes.
And the story of destiny is very different.
Yeah.
It may be that this is where I start. And it starts for me as it started for others.
That's
But
right.
it shall not end for me as
Okay.
it ended for others.
That's right.
Because, yes, I have the ability to choose. And right there, in that ability to choose,
Choose.
an entire world of opportunities open for me.
Wow. Wow. Choice.
Choice.
Our ability, our innate ability and our right to choose. And when we take that right and we say, no, the buck stops here. There will be no generational curses. There will be none of that. We will start right here, fresh and brand new, and we will move forward in the things that God has for us, because we know that each of us has a destiny, right? So just because maybe our relatives or our family genealogies, things have gone on in their lives, that is not that is not representative of my destiny, right? So I love that you talked about the power of choice, that we get to choose what it's going to be for me and my house from this day forward. We get to choose that.
And if I get to say for a moment, I really must thank my father, who he and I had a stormy relationship, because he was the daddy and I was the firstborn, and I was there to test the reins. And he was like, no, Missy, this is how it will be.
Yeah.
He had two rules when we were growing up. One, we could not speak the dialect at home. It had to have been standard English,
Wow.
which later served me well in writing exams and getting good grades and going to great schools that afforded me opportunities to accelerate faster than anyone who came from where I came from.
Mm.
And also, the second one was, even as a journalist, even today on this podcast, I am drawing from that decision that he made for me and my house. And the second was, we were not allowed to play with the children outside until we were past 18. Wow. And it was because the influence was of a particular sort that caused all your girls at 15 to have their first baby. Mm-hmm. And he was like, no, we have to live here, but we don't have to, and it really, there is a movie, I don't know if anyone has seen King Richard.
Okay.
It's really good. It's the story of the Williams family, Venus and Serena and their dad. Yeah. It was a little similar to that.
Okay.
There were people who pressured and said, you have the children in a concentration camp. They thought it was a bad social experiment. But today, if you look at his children and you look at the children of everybody else, the experiment worked.
Yes.
And so that thing about as for me and my house, Demetria, you are so right. And then to touch on the joy, joy is a choice.
Yes.
And every day, especially when the going got tough, and it got tough. I remember this one time I won 4 scholarships in the same 3-year period. And my parents did not have, in one case, the application money, in other cases, the room and board, in other cases, just now that I'm older and now that we know better, and they didn't know anything about the process.
Right.
But sometimes the money that was needed to raise, if we understood how little we needed to bring forward compared to the magnitude of what was being provided, they would have found a way. We would have found a way. And I hid it because I knew my parents didn't have it.
Oh.
And rather than make my mother cry, you see, and so even in those circumstances, joy is a choice. And that's how I got that nickname. Uh, I was teaching at one point. I taught high school, and the teachers started to call me Amber Joy. And it got to the place where later in life I would change my name. My entire family, we would change our last name because, well, we do a lot of spiritual work on what is in your foundation. And it was revealed to us that with that name, we had a few things tied to deities and so on. I was Amber Hercules, and that name, the association with that needed to be changed. And the attorney said, and let us put in the joy, because people were also writing checks. And so to Amber Joy, that person did not exist.
Wow.
That was being put on certificates. That person did not exist. So it was like, we are going to settle this matter and put the joy now. So you will now be Amber Joy. And so it became a permanent part of my name. But that is an example of how unwittingly the power of a choice could even permeate so much through your circumstances. That, like Jabez, who had a really bad start, guys, but he gets mentioned in the Bible for being blessed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I'm thinking about everything you just said now about your name change. How when we change our name, even if it's not a literal name change, but how we call ourselves, what we label ourselves, it changes our destiny. That is just beautiful, what you just said. And then I would love to share more or even have you talk about the power of 10xing, the power of acceleration, and how that, because in your life, right, you've had many clients and also in your own life accelerate, where maybe you started here, but it was only supposed to take you a certain amount of time to get where you're going, but God just blew it out of the water and got you there faster. So I would love to hear, how does that work for you and your clients? Tell us about the 10x and acceleration.
That is such a great question. So first of all, the work that we do is, a lot of it is inner work. A lot of it is, the reality is that the unseen realm is more real and powerful than what we see. And so to make a quick shift, if one can tap into what is unseen and make the shift there, then this realm will manifest that quickly.
Right.
We could work in this outer realm too. So we honor everybody who does self-development, your education. You're going to school to get a degree, you're doing a master's, you're doing a doctorate, you're getting a professional certification, you're doing ACCA, you signed up for some small business courses. All of those things are good.
Right.
All of those things are good, and they redound, they add to the speed at which you can go. But what gives our clients massively powerful accelerated shifts is pairing what they're doing in this realm with work from the unseen realm. And so we ask really quickly for everyone to take a snapshot of where their life is in terms of destiny. And that's real easy to do. We use a 4-pillar framework. And so if I asked everyone on the podcast to just right now in your mind's eye, think about a building with 4 pillars. These 4 pillars represent how the building of your destiny looks.
Mhm.
And the four pillars are fitness, finance, family, and fulfillment. And each pillar you're giving a score out of 10. And your pillar is only as tall or as short as that score. So out of 10, how much do you give to the pillar of fitness? Then finance, then family, then fulfillment.
Hmm.
So see your four pillars in your mind and how tall and short are they? That right there is a snapshot of where you are in life and destiny.
Mm. Wow.
The image that you have made for yourself is your picture of knowing that you were meant for more. If all of your pillars were a 10, then hey, you've hit it, home run. If any of those pillars were less than a 10, nobody had to tell you. You know within yourself that
Mhm.
there is more destiny within you.
Right.
You know for yourself that there's more destiny to come out of you. And so that's where we begin working. That's where the 10xing and the acceleration begins. Often, though, people don't bother to ask, well, why did you only give yourself a 5? Sometimes we don't bother to ask ourselves, well, how do you know that there's 5 more left within you that
Mhm.
hasn't come out yet? And
Mhm.
that's where the interesting questions begin.
Mm.
Here is where we partner with God, and God begins to reveal to you what is written on your scroll. That sounds spirit speak. In ordinary language, you begin to say, hey, I don't know why, but I feel like there are 3 books inside of me. I don't know why, but I feel like this business is just the first one, and there will be 2 others. I don't know why, but I feel like single moms would really love this, and that I'm supposed to lead and train all these single moms to do what I'm doing now. I don't know why, but I feel like that is where the magic begins.
Wow.
And where other people will say, stop dreaming. Those are pipe dreams. That is airy fairy stuff. He sees those things and says, that is your future reality.
Mm.
How do we take those things and get you in the straightest line, the quickest path from here to there? And
Mm.
we do one of the biggest things that really helps us get there too is inner healing.
Inner healing. Yes.
Because as a man thinks,
Mm-hmm.
and as a man hurts, and
Mm.
as a man is healed, so is he.
Yes.
Those are the kinds of thoughts that he has. Those are the kinds of hurts he inflicts on other people. Or that is a kind of healing and space holding that he will do for others.
Wow.
And so, especially as business leaders, business owners, this podcast is for women. We are the sisters, the mothers, the nurturers. To
Yes.
the extent that we are hurt, we hurt people.
Wow.
Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to the extent that we are healed, we heal people, our spouses, our own children, our sisters sitting across from us, our bosses. To the extent that we are whole, healed, we make space for them and give them space to be human and make a mistake. Or we stick it to the man or the woman boss, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To the extent that that inner child who was wounded when daddy didn't come back. Or I have clients who say, weekend after weekend, I packed my clothes and I waited for daddy to come, and he never showed. That little girl, until she is whole, the capacity that you have available for growing your business is stunted. Because part of your emotional power, part of your life force is used up to help keep that pain at bay.
Wow.
The secret really with addiction or people putting up a wall, really the heart of every human is, what do I need to do to diminish the pain?
Yes.
What have I got to do to make it not hurt so bad? And so there are lots of great strategies out there to manage pain.
Yeah.
But we have found that there's something more effective than pain management. It's healing the pain so that capacity that was used up in management is now freed up when I'm completely healed and whole to
Right.
put into the business, to put into the family, to put into out of the box ideas. And
Yes.
so inner healing really frees up capacity for us to soar. Where you were crawling before, now you begin to walk. Where you were walking before, you begin to run. Where you
Yes.
were running before, you now begin to fly, soar. And so that there by itself brings the 10x and brings the acceleration, because what we have done is freed up capacity.
Wow.
And so now, all those gears are moving. Shift from gear one, gear two. We're going. So the more and more free that we become, the more and more life force, thoughts, emotions, our whole presence or being is available for business or for the marriage or for just the journey into destiny.
That is profound. So many of us don't realize how much our pain has held us back from success or held us back from making the progress that we want to make. And we wonder, well, why is it taking so long? Why is it taking so long? And sometimes it's because maybe unforgiveness, maybe, or just that root of bitterness and pain from what we've held on to for years and years and years. I love how you've just explained it in such a way where we can visualize how holding on to these pains can slow us down, and how when we release all of that and we get inner healing, acceleration automatically happens because now we're able to see where we're going. There's more clarity, and it happens faster. So that's beautiful. And then I love the picture you also painted of the pillars. So none of us have the perfect snapshot, and we all have some areas where we need to improve and grow into. So having that picture, I think that mental picture of what we can improve and how to move forward. And for you as a Destiny Strategist, you take that picture and you help your clients to see this is what we need to work on, right? And how we can move forward.
Yeah. Could I share with you one secret that we do beyond that?
Yes, absolutely.
Can't tell anybody. Listening on the podcast, you cannot tell. This is our secret.
It's our secret.
Okay. So you have the pillars, but let me ask you a question. Take the lowest pillar, the pillar with the lowest score. How long have you been working on that pillar?
Mm.
And for many of us, the answer is not 6 months, not 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. For many of us, the answer to that question is decades.
Mm.
And for many of us, it's not just your life, it's your generation, the generation before you, the generation before that. And that leads us to, guys, this is us. Don't tell anyone. Beneath those 4 pillars is a foundation. That is everything coming down the pike at you from your parents, their parents, in the bloodline, in the DNA, all those generational blessings, in some cases, curses, in some cases, mishaps, in some cases, but you are innocent. You had nothing to do with what is coming down the pike at you, yet it is affecting you and your pillars, therefore your destiny. Right there, you have found the source of your FATE.
Wow.
And until that puppy is fixed, until that stuff underneath there, the stinky, stinky, the stinky, stinky is down there. And until that stuff is sorted out, we will continue to experience cycles. We're up today, down tomorrow. I get a big promotion today, and then something happens. It's weird. Your friends say, that is so strange. Or you would save up to a certain amount, and then you're like just about to hit your goal. And then some unseen, unforeseen mishap, emergency comes and wipes away all the progress that you made, so that you're repeating this cycle over and over and over again. If that is you, then there's actually a diagnostic we have that you could just take that and it'll help you know. And you just find that at www.destinydiagnostic.com. But that will help you identify if the problem in your pillars is really a problem below the line in your foundation.
Wow.
That is another way or reason why your clients experience that 10x acceleration.
So check the foundation, check the foundation. And that is where you get cleared up, starting at that. Destiny Diagnostics, is that correct?
Yes, Destiny Diagnostic, no S at the end, .com.
.com. Very good. That is definitely something that I think most of us, if not all of us, should go and do that. We should take that diagnostic. So I know that you have a book, and everything that you've shared with us today has just, it's been compact. It's just been this beautiful time with you. And I wish we could talk more and more and more, because you have so much inside of you that you are healing people as you're talking. People are feeling so much lighter and clarity and feeling like there's hope. So I want you to tell us how we can find out more about your book, because I know you have some good nuggets in there that we can continue to meditate on. How can we find your book?
Okay, so the book is on Amazon, easy to find. It's called Destiny Survivor. And it really is the destiny story of Ruth. And Ruth is such a beautiful story. It's a story of a woman who rejected FATE and took her destiny over and over and over again. Ruth was supposed to be a Moabite. She was supposed to marry into her own tribe. And she broke all the rules. She was going to do it her way.
Right.
And even though sometimes that was a little different than she imagined, she had a good mentor in Naomi, who was also navigating life on fresh terms as a widow who had also lost both her sons. So she now had no status in that society. She went for the millionaire in the village, man. Don't look for any old farmer to try to redeem your destiny. She went, I mean, I'm being sensational. But she went for the top. And some of us don't realize that God will do that for you too. God will go directly to the top to get you, if that's what it will take to accelerate your destiny. That's where God will go.
That's right.
So yeah, the book is easily available on Amazon.
Very good. On Amazon. Yes. Okay. And then now, if we want additional coaching, if we want to accelerate our lives, how can we reach you for coaching sessions?
Okay. The Destiny Diagnostic would be the best place to start, so that we could have an idea of where you are, what you're dealing with, and then we can have a little conversation, maybe just spend 30 minutes just looking into your results. The diagnostic will spit you out a score. and we will know what that means. And
And then we'll go from there.
yeah, we'll go from there.
That sounds perfect. That sounds perfect. You have been just such a source for us today. Like I said, joy. You brought joy to us. You brought some peace. I just feel that people listening right now are feeling like, wow, I can do this. I can figure out what's holding me back and I can move forward. And so your presence has just been wonderful. And thank you for being here today, Dr. Amber Joy Daniel. And everybody, make sure to visit Dr. Amber Joy Daniel. Make sure you get the diagnostic and then move forward from there. Okay. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, Demetria. Such a blessing.
I told you that was going to be an awesome conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I was super blessed. I was blessed beyond measure to speak with her, and just felt so much energy and just feel motivated to move toward the plans that God has for me in my life. And I hope you feel the same way after listening. So I do have one last announcement before we say our goodbyes, and I would love for you to come on by herbusinesselevated.com to see all of these show notes. It's a brand new website for you. I know that many of you have been coming to demetriazinga.com, and that is still available as well. But from now on, I'm putting most of my show notes at Her Business Elevated. So I would love for you to check out the new website. It's a fresh new look and it's available for you. And it's where I'm going to be housing things from now on. My bigger announcement is that I am the Impact Podcast Coach. So you can visit me at impactpodcastcoach.com. And what that means is that I'm available to help assist you and coach you through creating your podcast start to finish. I'm here for you. That's what I do. So I want you to check that out, impactpodcastcoach.com. And if you are just wanting to get your feet wet and just sort of think about it and see if that's something you want to start for your business or your ministry, then I invite you to come over to impactpodcastcoach.com and go ahead and grab the free blueprint. There is a 10-step framework that I have available. And in this framework, it teaches you everything you need to know about starting a podcast. It's very simple. It's easy as far as the framework goes. And it is a fully thorough framework. So I go through many steps for you, teaching you, breaking down all the concepts. But it's about 20 pages or so. So it's a thorough blueprint that you'll receive, and it is free to you because I want you to see exactly what you're going to be learning when you're with me. Okay. So I invite you to go ahead and download that framework found at impactpodcastcoach.com. If you would like to book me for some time to spend with you, helping you get started and get situated with your own podcast, I, of course, am available for our welcome call and we can get to know each other a little bit better. So that will also be found at the same URL, impactpodcastcoach.com. All right. That's all I wanted to share with you. Oh, one more thing. There is a Facebook group. So if you're interested and you're really serious about podcasting, come on over to the Christian Women Podcasters Network. That is my Facebook group. It's called Learn Podcasting and Collab with the Christian Women Podcasters Network. So come on by and join. And I'm there. I spend a good amount of time there every week now. And I am there to support you in your podcasting journey. So that's a great place to reach out to me if you want to know more about podcasting. Okay. And once again, visit our guest today, destinystrategist.com. I feel so blessed from this interview and I hope you did too. That's all I have for you today, and have a blessed week and to your online business success.